Awesome. Jambo, namaste, konnichiwa, bonjour, and greetings to all of you around the world in any other language that I missed. I'm here, as you can see, with my Stampede gear on. We missed Stampede, but who says we can't create our own virtual experience, right? Working from home is the new norm for me, as I've been doing this for over 10 years. But not being on a plane and flying to Calgary to attend this conference is definitely the new norm. So I do miss that part. Before we get started, as you can see on the side, I've put a poll there and would like to hear your opinion. So the 3 questions there, if you can just select one of the choices. And the first question is there a cybersecurity skills shortage? You've got 2 choices, yes or no. The second one there that you can see is, I'd like to hear how you joined the cybersecurity industry. Is it that you've always wanted to be in cybersecurity from a very young age, and this has been your dream job? Is it that you have a completely different background and fell into this, like you studied something completely different and you fell into cybersecurity by accident? Or is it that your family or your parents or your friends were in this industry and therefore it was a natural fit for you? And if none of the 3 apply, choose number 4. And then the last question, this is a little bit of an interesting challenge for you all, and for us too. So which of these 3 words are you tired of hearing? First one, COVID. Second one, virtual. Third one is 2020. So the challenge there is to make sure you're listening throughout the presentation. A bit of a challenge for us is throughout this whole presentation, myself, Farah, Lalitha, and Migakshi, we are not allowed to say that word, whichever you pick. And if we do, by any chance, by accident, we know you're listening, put it in the chat, once we've said it. And remember, only the first person that catches us saying that word is the one person who will get something from us. So we'll send you a private chat. Get your email address and we'll send something via email. And then the rest of you, if you do hear us say it, after that first person, sorry, you're duplicates, so you don't get anything. Panelists, are you up for the challenge?
I'm up for it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So game on. So thank you all for your participation on the poll and joining our talk. It should hopefully play. Joining our talk, there is no cybersecurity skills shortage. In terms of agenda, for the first 10 minutes after I introduce myself, I'll share the changes we've seen through the rise of the gig economy, and we'll explain the term crowdsourcing through some examples that I'm going to share. I'll also share some data and some interesting statistics that help us determine if there is really a shortage or not. And then we'll move into 30 minutes for you to hear the journey of 3 hackers as they share some tips. So a bit about my background. My name is Aarti Gadhia, some of you who already know me. I was born and raised in Kenya, Africa. I studied financial economics in UK. And 20 years ago, if you asked me what I wanted to be, I'd have said a stockbroker, which is why I studied economics. In 2004, my husband and I moved to Canada. And as a new immigrant, I just wanted a job, right? I had to take a step back in my career, and there was this entry-level position for an antivirus company back in 2004, and that's how I entered into this industry, into cybersecurity. Outside of my role, I'm passionate about influencing a change to close the diversity gap in STEM and in leadership. And this led me to start up Stand Out to Lead to increase diversity on boards, and She chapters, sharing her empowerment chapters, to influence a change within the organization to bring awareness to the board. This year, I was excited to receive the top 20 influential women in Canada Security Award by IT World and with SECRA. And this has helped me be a voice, make a change, and pay it forward. As you can see, I currently work for Bugcrowd. I'm based in Vancouver. And if you saw my LinkedIn post titled Fulka Roti, You know that I love cooking. The pandemic has hit the economy hard, unfortunately. We've seen massive layoffs, furloughs, businesses forced to close down, and certain industries have been affected. The world has changed, and the way we do business has changed. It doesn't look like this anymore. For some of you, working from home is new. Some love it, some hate it. This has introduced the concept work from anywhere. Companies are shifting their approach, and this has led to a rise in the gig economy, and organizations are going through a digital transformation. While competition has increased in the gig economy, according to an article from IBIS World, Upwork has seen an increase in 50% in freelancers on their platform since this pandemic. Instacart, an online grocery delivery service, has hired 300,000 freelancers to cater for the increase in demand. And companies have shifted from a full-time job offer to multiple gigs, side jobs, and temporary employees in order to save wages and benefits as they try to recover. I also read an interesting article whereby cybersecurity workers were taken off their duties to help with IT-related tasks, as organizations were faced with supporting employees to work from home to keep their businesses running. We're all familiar with these tools, as they're now a household name that you've been implementing internally or already have. At the same time, during this pandemic, cybercrime has multiplied, creating a great opportunity for unethical hackers and online scammers. After all, cybercrime is more profitable than global illegal drug trade. That's 600 billion versus 400 billion. According to an article I read on Yahoo Finance, nearly 2/3 of Canadian companies failed to report cyber breaches during COVID. Whether there is a pandemic or not, to echo a quote from Roger Grimes, every company will be hacked. The article from ISC2 shared that there are 2.8 million professionals in cybersecurity in 2019, and we would need another 4 million to fill that gap. So how are we going to find more? Is the problem that there is a shortage in cybersecurity professionals, or is the challenge we can't find the right talent? Crowdsourcing and diversity is helping us fill that gap, and that's what I'm here to sit and tell you. So let's try and understand, what is crowdsourcing? A quick Google search showed me several definitions, and a simple way of explaining this is the practice of obtaining information by leveraging a crowd, either paid or unpaid. The term crowdsourcing was coined in 2006, but has been there prior to digital age. Crowdsourcing and outsourcing is different. Crowdsourcing comes from a less specific, more public group, whereas outsourcing is commissioned from a specific named group. Though it can take a lot of moderation and feedback, there's a ton of benefits that far outweigh the negatives when it comes to crowdsourcing. It improves cost, speed, quality, flexibility, scalability, and of course, diversity. So let's take a look at examples of successful models that leverage this approach. One of the most innovating companies, Amazon. For those of you who have Alexa at home, it's funny when Alexa says, when you've asked a question, Alexa says, "I'm sorry, I don't know that one." Well, you can help provide Alexa the answers and earn points each time your answers are used by Alexa. This is another great way to expand Alexa's knowledge through a crowd and build its data repository. Last month, an article from voicebot.ai shows that Alexa crowdsourcing has gone global, and it arrives in the UK. Another interesting app so relevant for today is Mask Count app. There are quite a few mobile apps that have used crowdsourcing techniques for contact tracing. Earlier in October, Mask Count launched their app, which is a hybrid of Waze's crowdsourced traffic info and the functionality of Tinder. You swipe right if someone's wearing a mask and left if they're not. It's collecting scientific evidence that may help us understand how to reduce the spread of COVID. And you can use this data, or IT teams can use this data, as I read an interesting article from Computer World. And it explains how if a company detects that a particular neighborhood has low mask usage and high infection rates, IT teams can alert employees and assign that area a low safety score. So for example, I live in Delta, and if I receive that alert in a neighboring city, I'll obviously avoid going to that area because if I'm heading into work, I could risk my colleagues and spread within the organization. This will now enforce businesses in that city to aggressively enforce everyone to wear masks, and this increases protection for all. So how are we going to leverage this successful model into cybersecurity, and what are the benefits? Well, cybersecurity is fundamentally a human problem. Someday, technology will be able to mimic and predict human creativity, but that's not coming anytime soon, unfortunately. The attacker is focused on results. They get nothing until they are successful. I tried Googling this and I couldn't find any stats, but one thing for sure is there's an army of unethical hackers, and that's why they are and will always be ahead of the game. And to compete against an army of adversaries, we need an army of allies. And by leveraging a crowd, you're creating a force multiplier. You're able to access a diverse pool of talent with different skills, backgrounds, and experience to find high risk and high impact vulnerabilities. You're using the same creativity your adversaries are using to attack you. So why limit yourself with hiring 2 full-time employees when you can leverage hundreds of ethical hackers? Another interesting fact, according to Pew Research last year, is there were 29.5 million women with a bachelor's degree versus 29.3 million men. In October, I ran a fireside chat with 3 women from Twitch, HP, and LifeLock, and all 4 of us fell into cybersecurity by accident. We had project management, we had engineering, we had accounting, economics, and we're all today in cybersecurity. In fact, some of you know Selena from when she worked at Finning. Her background was actually HR. To solve the 4 million shortage in cyber skills, the challenge isn't that we don't have enough cybersecurity professionals. The challenge is we're limiting ourselves and we need to look beyond the traditional way of hiring. Crowdsourcing and diversity is solving that problem. And now I'd like to move to the next section of the talk so you can understand the definition of a hacker and how this relates to solving the cyber skills problem. When you hear the word hackers, the first thing that comes to mind is that they are bad. In fact, if you see movies today, they show someone wearing that hoodie, hacking the system, and in that scene they say, yes, I'm in, I have access. So just like in the movies, there are 2 types of hackers, ethical and malicious. And the difference between the 2 is the intent. So you're actually now going to hear from 3 ethical hackers as they share their journey, tips on how they became researchers, also known as bug bounty hunters, and how to be inspired in this journey. So let's start off with introductions. And perhaps let's start off with Farah. If you can quickly introduce yourself. I know right now you're based in India, right? And it's past midnight for you, right? Because I can see it's quite dark behind there.
Yes.
And it's a Friday, or I guess Saturday early morning. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you joined this industry.
All right. First, it's also Diwali. So happy Diwali to anyone who's watching. I'm going to start by introducing myself and I'll answer one of Aarti's earlier questions. So I fell into cybersecurity completely by accident. I was pursuing a degree in mass media. In the second year of my course, I found myself having a lot of free time, so I decided to do a course in ethical hacking. It was a really basic course, and at that time, my idea of hacking was just what they had shown in movies. So I decided to go for that, and then I realized that it's much more than what they show in the movies, and I actually got really interested and went much deeper into it. And I actually ended up graduating in mass media, so I have that degree lying around, but cybersecurity is my career.
Fantastic. Thanks for that background. Lilithia, let's move over to you. We met a year ago, literally this time a year ago during OS Vancouver, one of the meetups. And shortly after you joined, after we met, you joined the OS Vancouver committee to help organize events, and you recently spoke. So tell me a little bit more about your background and how you got into cybersecurity.
Sure. Thank you, Aarti, for this opportunity. Hi, everyone. So this is Lilithia. So I would start from my undergraduate. I have done my computer science in undergraduate, and after that, I decided to choose like a cybersecurity field. But when I went to my parents and said, I want to be an ethical hacker, I want to choose this stream, they were like, are you crazy? Or do you think about the future opportunities, etc., etc.? Many more questions. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong because I don't have any complete in-depth knowledge on cybersecurity. So I compromised myself into software testing, and I worked for 2 years. And while I was working, I was parallelly looking into cybersecurity opportunities. And then I got to know that I can still move on to it. So I started my master's in cybersecurity here in Canada. So I graduated recently. While I was doing my master's, I was into different platforms like OWASP, Shields, Tex, Isaka, and all these, which completely driven me like a more interesting way of cybersecurity. So that's how I am into cybersecurity. And then I started my role as Associate Application Security Engineer at Buckrout as an internship. And parallelly, I'm doing the crowdsourcing, which is super exciting for me. That's my journey of hacker.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lilithia, for that introduction. Mrigakshi, we actually met during this pandemic in May. I was just looking this up yesterday, and I can't believe it. Feels just like we've known each other for such a long time. And it was during the ISACA Vancouver She Leads Tech, one of the breakout rooms that we met. And you probably just live half an hour from me, but we still haven't met physically. But we've had so many conversations virtually. And it's, like I said, it just feels like I've known you for such a long time. So help me understand a little bit about your background and how you got into cybersecurity.
Hi, Aarti. Thank you for introducing me. And it's indeed a pleasure to have met you at She Leads Tech. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Mrigakshi. I also work with Aarti and others in my panel at Buckrout. And growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor and many other things. But then I realized that it would take quite a long time to graduate in those fields. So I started getting interested in computer science, and I did my computer science engineering back in 2013, after which I joined a company called Accenture, worked in different fields like DevOps, business analysis, and finally got into cybersecurity. Getting into cybersecurity, I realized that it's not just a hot skill right now, it's a necessity. It's a necessity to bring in a cyber safe practice in the world, and I really enjoy this stuff. Getting into the computers of hackers who hack the companies for their wrong reasons is a great thing to be in. Well, outside of work, I enjoy dancing, and I really like energetic music. I feel that it gives me a lot of positive energy. Yeah, it's been pleasure to be speaking here for the very first time.
Fantastic. Yes, all four of us are first-time speakers at B-Sides, so thank you, B-Sides, for this opportunity. So before I hand over to these three researchers, just to sum up what I've just covered and how it relates, as I've highlighted to you, and you've heard from Farah, Lilithia, and Mrigakshi, and myself, many of us landed into cybersecurity by accident. Therefore, things to think about. You need to rethink about your recruitment strategy and how you can attract a diverse group into this industry. So as you can see, whether it's red hat, blue hat, green hat, or whether you've studied HR or cybersecurity, or whether you want to be a stockbroker or a computer scientist or engineer, each and every one of us can actually join the hunt and solve this problem. In simple math, there's 7.8 billion people in the world. I just shared earlier on, 60 million graduates last year, and all we need is 4 million to fill the gap. So I hope what you can all see where we're going with this talk and why by leveraging a diverse crowd, diversity in crowdsourcing, there is no shortage in gap. So I'm going to hand this over to Mrigakshi, Lalithya, and Farah as they're going to share their tips and how they became researchers. Mrigakshi, over to you.
Thank you, Aarti, for introducing me. And I'm, as I said, I'm glad here to be speaking at understanding a bug and its risk. So today, as I'm working at BugCrowd, I'm really interested to tell people how the risks involved in bug hunting can affect the bug hunters and how an application bugs can really be a business risk and why not. So then agenda for our next few minutes will be how discovering an application is similar to meeting someone new, exploiting of security bugs, and how the mind of a security researcher should work. The discovery phase of bug hunting is very similar to meeting someone new. It includes two parts. The first part is start of an actual testing, just by discovering someone new, seeing someone's body language. This stage covers information gathering and scanning. Then network port and service identification is conducted to identify potential targets. In addition to port and service identification, there are used to share information. And on-target networks, well, security bugs can lead to something like this. Security bugs are completely different from testing bugs, as they are focused on actual functionality as opposed to testing during the software development lifecycle, which focuses on intended functionality. Testing can definitely establish the presence of errors, but can never confirm their absence. Exploitation of security flaws can lead to ransomware attacks, where the attacker demands money to not leak business secrets or stolen data. Some other security flaws can lead to data leak. In such cases, there is no extortion, but some private information appears to have been leaked for users of the business. This may include credit card information, bank details, birth date, or some other important IDs. Phishing attacks are most common ways of attacking people and are getting combined with social engineering these days. Some attacks lead to loss of customers due to destroyed user interface, which might lead to loss of revenue and in some cases complete shutdown of business. Many common attack scenarios involve exploiting one vulnerability found in an insecure application. An attacker can sometimes stay on your network much more than the estimated time. Our aim is to party and party. Just kidding. Our aim is to protect businesses and individuals by finding and fixing exploitable security vulnerabilities before the bad guys do. Let's discuss more about how mind of a security researcher should work. Discovering the functionality is the first phase of bug hunting. Most often, this stage can be taken care by lots of free tools available online. You can use tools like Burp Suite, FUF, and also try labs like Pentester Labs and Seed Labs to clear your basics. Given the fact that cyber attacks are the biggest threat to an organization's data and information, a vulnerability which is technically valid to do anything malicious is not really considered a business risk. Try thinking what malicious intent you can have to be an effective researcher. Trojan horses or worm are examples of gaining access through backdoor. Once they have entered your network, they have the capability to infect your connected networks and devices. The worms, these are generally made by exploiting SQL injection and XSS and a few other types of attacks. Try to think out of the box and gain similar backdoor entries if you were the hacker. Think about ways of escalating privileges by bypassing some security features of the application. Think about intercepting the communication between the client and the server and how attackers can view the data not intended to be viewed by them. Let's take a simple example of school application where students submit an assignment and the teacher grades them. Here, we have the privilege escalation bug if the student is able to still edit the application or the assignment even after submitting it to the teacher for grades. Well, last but not the least, remember to never publicly disclose a vulnerability. Everyone has different journeys. As a hacker, some people start the certification like CEH, OSCP, and others, and some people come from a defensive side of security like me. Even if you are not a hacker, you still need to follow cybersecurity trends. As of now, in 2020, we are getting increasingly dependent on IoT devices. With the limitation of security testing, remote work is a lifestyle and a new normal. Data is increasing every day, and so are its security concerns. So are you of bug hunting? Well, maybe start with an authentication logic bug. For instance, when an application is logged in two different browsers like Google Chrome and Firefox, if you change the password on one browser, the application should be logged out of all other browsers. You can report this. Doesn't that sound interesting? Well, in 2020, we have had the skill shortage in cybersecurity by crowdsourcing, of course. It takes a crowd to defeat a crowd. There is absolutely no educational background required, just a desire to learn technology works. To learn about hacking, you can start with tools like Burpsuit, OWASP, ZAP, and Nmap, which are used for intercepting requests and in early application enumeration, and they are very useful to learn used attacks. I follow lots of YouTube channels like Bug Bounty Thursday by Stock, Farahava, who is also on our panel today, the last speaker of the day. And I believe that increasing knowledge is always much more important than learning tools. So just show your malicious intent today. We would like a lot of comments here. If you were a hacker, would you like to and why? I would like some participation from my speakers as well. So
Absolutely.
What do you think?
I can think because I love cooking. So I would love the secret sauce and recipes for some of these master chef cooks out there. So that's what I would like to hack for sure if I was.
Yeah, audience, just keep commenting. We would love to know you.
Yeah, I would like to hack my professor's account to get good grades.
What about you, Farah?
Well, I would hack some flight website and then just send a lot of miles my way.
So now Lalithya, who is also my teammate at Bugcrowd, will present on how to search for a bug bounty program and report a bug and start practicing hands-on. So over to you, Lalithya.
Thank you, Mridakshi. Thank you for handing it to me. So hi everyone. So I just want to say I'm the beginner in the crowd. The word I say the beginner because I got to know about these crowdsourcing options when I was in my last semester when I was doing my master's. I thought like after masters I should search for a job. What are the options? Full-time opportunities, all these. But I don't know until my last semester that there is an option called crowdsourcing. So once I am into the crowdsourcing, then I really enjoyed it. So I'll share my journey and I'll tell what's happening in the crowd. So to be in the crowd, what you need is like a question yourself about your interest. I would say your time investment and your interest is directly dependent to each other. So if you are interested, definitely you will invest more time in it. So crowdsourcing has an option for continuous learning. Every day it's like a new challenge, and every day you have to learn something. You will be learning something. So also the other thing I learned from crowdsourcing is being patient, because we cannot get the bug or we cannot get succeeded in crowdsourcing right away, because it's a huge crowd and the competition is more. So we need to check how we need to wait for the right time, but don't give up, just try focusing on it. And apart from that, you can have an option for balancing your life. So even right now, we are doing with internships or full-time jobs or whatever the domain you're in, you can balance the crowdsourcing option. That's a very good thing in crowdsourcing. And investment in to be in the crowd, investment is completely zero. You don't need to invest anything, just your time and some of your interest. That's it. And all you need is like a laptop and a good Wi-Fi network connection. That's it. So general confusions which I have came across along even with my friends are like, what about the opportunities in marketplace for cybersecurity? Do you have any suggestions for new grads? Yes, crowdsourcing is an option here. They can obviously choose, and there is no gap to fill out it. So let's begin. What's happening in the crowdsourcing? So crowdsourcing platforms are something similar to bug bounty programs, which are completely free and you don't need to pay anything. You just need to register it. There are a number of platforms. You can just register it and start hunting. So how do you start hunting? So start from the informational bugs and then move towards the critical findings, which I applied, because if I directly go towards the aim and target for a critical bug and to get bounties or something like that, definitely it would be a mess up, because I don't know what's happening exactly in the crowd. So always start from the low level bugs. Low level bugs are very similar, as Mridakshi was saying, just like if a session is open, if a browser on two browsers for any of the program, then yes, it's a bug. Once you log out in one session, other session should also get end. If not, it's a bug. Something like an informational bug you can start with. So I'll show you how the crowdsourcing platforms and the programs look like. So this is one of the platform I have chosen. And if you can see, there are a number of programs. All these programs are different, like it has retail, hospital, everything, healthcare, different domains. So you just need to see the programs. They offer the bug bounty programs. If you can see, these are all the programs. And you have an option called something like submit report. So submit report is like once you identify a bug, you need to submit the report. These are the programs with different domains. So let's open one of the program and see how it looks like. If you can see here, it asks for login to check eligibility. So what happens is like the program brief generally has the reward range, what type of reward they are getting for this. I mean, while you are sending a vulnerability, targets that you need to search, and out of scopes, all these information, credentials, how to do how to enter into the system, what platforms you need to search inside this specific program, etc., etc. So once you do it, then you're gonna get some priorities like that. So if you can see here, eligibility for this program, if you submit more and more bugs and you have a weightage for your profile, you will get invited to the private programs as well, where you can test, submit the report, get bounties and all these. So it's like a continuous process, and every program, as I said, it's like a different opportunity. Like some is like you cannot find the same bug in same program. So my suggestion would be like every platform is having a vulnerability rating, a taxonomy, which is like a brief it shows. So all you need to know about is the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, what you have. So in those OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, each platform is having sub vulnerabilities. If you can see here, broken authentication and session management. which is also having sub vulnerabilities, for which use specific vulnerabilities. So which is varying from P5 to P1. So P5s, which I considered as a low level or informational bugs, and P1s are the critical bugs. So it depends on, as I told you, start with the low level. So you can just go start with P5s, which is very simple. It's like a logic kind of thing, how it's attacking, what's the security impact, all these things you can think, and start with P5s and then move on to P1s, which are like a challenging task for each of us. So while you are doing these bug bounties and hunting these in the platforms, make sure you have a checklist. There is a OWASP checklist which is suggested, but also you can make your own checklist and create for each and every program, write a test name, what kind of vulnerability you have tested. Because for one program, you need to test like n number of vulnerabilities. You don't know which one would be the valid vulnerable. So definitely every application is vulnerable. We can see it. Once you are into it, you will definitely know, oh wow, these many vulnerabilities are lying in this specific program, something like that. So start doing manual recon. That's my suggestion, because initially when you start doing the manual recon, you will expand the attack surface. So if you have a target, just try doing a manual analysis, what's happening or why it's not working, what are the subdomains, what are third parties, what are the hidden points, hidden links, hidden directories, all these. So if you can do the manual recon, then even if you start with an automated tools, it will be easy for you. So directly if you jump into automated tools, definitely there will be a confusion. So start with the manual recon and then go with the automated tools, which will help you to automate the process, of course. So you need to have Burp Suite, Zwap, or whatever it is. But it is completely independent of your domain. It doesn't matter at all, whatever your educational background or whatever your domain is. So other important thing I would say is like reporting a bug, because I reported few bugs last month, and the main issue was most of them are being not applicable, something like that. The reason being my reporting was not clear. So believe me, reporting a bug is a major thing while you are doing bug bounty programs. So be quick and clear. The reason I said quick is because it's like a whole crowd and everyone are free to hunt at any time. So independent of the time zone, independent of the location. So it's like a huge competition. You need to be quick. And it's not only be quick, be clear. So because once we submit the bug, it goes to the triage team and then it goes to the program owner. They have to check, they have to understand that yes, this is a valid bug and this affects my company if I don't fix it. So that's how they have to understand it. The only way we can do it is while reporting. So make sure you're quick and clear in reporting. Always mention a security impact, like as an attacker, what I can do if this is not fixed, why this is a bug. That's where you need to answer in your reporting. And valid proof of concept, you need to attach the proof of concept by making a video or screenshot to prove that this is a bug. So just see how submit reporting, how it will be. So summary title, make sure while the title itself is clear, so that triage team or the customer understand that, okay, this is the bug they have identified. And the target, make sure you choose the right target. Target is nothing but which scope you are testing. And technical severity, which is must, based on like the VRTs that I have shown you for broken authentication, right? So you can choose which one is in it, so that you can assign it for whether it is a P3, P1, P2, whatever. Vulnerability details, like which URL you have identified the bug. And replication steps are most important, because in order for the triage team or the customer to replicate your finding, you have to be clear what you have done and step-by-step procedure. And then if you are doing with an automated tools, if you have captured any requests or responses, you can paste it. Additional information will be the security impact and resources and what etc. can be added. And attachments is what, like your POC, proof of concept. And if you are joining with another hacker, yes, add them and submit the report vulnerability. That's it. So it's a so simple process which you can do with even a couple of minutes in your free time. But definitely it will be an asset for your future for cybersecurity. achievements. So this is my old submission first time. So you will have some achievements hall of fames added to your profile, which you can add it to your resume, and you can say I have hunted in this program. There are a number of programs. Programs are nothing but, I would say, websites or all these kind of things. So for this one, best practice, I would say WebGoat and OWASP. These two are web applications which are vulnerable, and it's a free resource that's available in the market. So you can just directly log in. Just setting up is very simple. You can just need to have a virtual machine, or for JuiceShop, it's like a Heroku you can use, and you can just log in and practice hands-on. These two applications will help you to check how to identify a valid bug in real time. So I use them a lot. So I'm suggesting you all to practice on it. So I conclude that there is no shortage of skills for cybersecurity. Also, there wouldn't be, and there should not be. Let's begin the crowd. There's already a lot of crowd, and we need people, more people, as Aarti was saying. So let's begin the crowd, join the crowd, try hunting these crowdsourcing platforms, and we can achieve the no cybersecurity skills shortage. So with that being said, after you have, so now you have learned about how to do the bug bounty programs, how to search for it. So after you have learned all these, what is the next steps? That thing going to be explained by Farah Hawa. Now I'm gonna hand over to her.
Thank you, Lalithya. So I'm gonna talk about what is the next step you should do after you've learned everything that Mrigakshi and Lalithya talked about. Because in bug bounty, you might find yourself needing a lot of inspiration. So let's look at what the sources of these inspiration are. So the first source is write-ups and research papers written by some amazing hackers. And then we have another source of inspiration, which is the Twitter community around bug bounty. So let's go to the first source of inspiration. So what are write-ups? So write-ups are basically detailed walkthroughs of what the hacker's mindset was like when they found a bug. So how did they find it? Why did they think that that parameter was vulnerable? How did they go about exploiting it? And what was the root cause of the bug? So for example, you can see that someone wrote a write-up about posting GIFs as anyone on Facebook. And then someone wrote a write-up about 10 interesting vulnerabilities that they found on Instagram. So reading these can be a great source of inspiration, informative, and it will make you want to get up and hunt. And another, one place where you can find write-ups is following some amazing hackers' blogs. So you have Ron Chan, File Descriptor, and Orange Sai. I love these blogs. They write some really technical, a little bit advanced blogs, but they're definitely very, very inspiring and very, very informative. You can easily find them from a Google search, or you can use these links that I've mentioned. All right, so next, let's go to the next place where you can find write-ups. So the next place is pentester.land. So you just go to your browser and type pentester.land, and you'll get a list of these bug bounty write-ups. So they have write-ups all the way from 2012 to 2020. So imagine that you've just learned a bug called IDOR from the web application Hacker's Handbook, but you don't know what it looks like in real life. So you go to pentester.land and you just type an IDOR in their search bar, and then you find probably hundreds and thousands of write-ups that people wrote about actual IDOR vulnerabilities that they found in actual targets. So that can be really inspiring, again, very informative, and gives you an idea of what that bug looks like in real life and how you could also exploit it. Okay, so let's go to the next source. Now we have research papers. Research papers are also written by hackers, but they are a little bit different from write-ups because they are unique methodologies and unique and new technologies that have not been explored before. So you will not find these methodologies in books or older papers. And they're also performed on newer technologies, and newer technologies also means more secure technologies. So these are a really good source of inspiration, and again, it'll help you kind of be on your learning journey. All right, so let's go. So let's talk money, because a huge reason why a lot of people enter bug bounty is money, right? So the money part you will see on Twitter. So on Twitter, we have a lot of bug bounty hunters that share how much bounty they've received. So it can be a small amount, it can be a huge amount, but they're constantly sharing it. So it's again a huge source of inspiration for me, I feel, and also for a lot of people. When they see people earning a small amount or anything, they also feel like getting up and hunting. So finally, let's hunt. You can do it. All right. So to summarize the talk a little bit, I'm going to talk about what action items you can take as an organization to implement crowdsourcing in your organization. So first, you should consider these aspects of crowdsourcing versus a traditional security model. So like Aarti said, diversity, scalability, flexibility. These aspects are a lot more present in crowdsourcing than a traditional security model. Next, you should reevaluate your recruitment process. So if you're not finding enough cybersecurity professionals through your traditional method, you should consider going a little beyond, because as you heard that all of us come from quite different backgrounds. Next, you can expand your reach. So change your criteria a little bit and concentrate on looking for people with skills than just looking for qualifications. Because as an example, Aarti mentioned about Selena, her background was HR and her skill was problem solving, and now she's in cybersecurity. And the last action you can take is hire, don't be bound to an office or don't be bound to a location, because the pandemic has proved that you can work from anywhere and you can work 100% remotely. So for example, if you're looking for someone in Vancouver, you can probably consider hiring someone from Calgary as well, right? So next, let's look at action items as a researcher. So like Megakshi said, learn tools, go ahead with certifications or books, and go practice on a Pentester lab and seed labs. They're very hands-on, and focus on learning over learning tools. Next, as Lalitya mentioned, you should know how to search for a bug bounty program, learn how to report a bug properly, and practice hands-on again. And lastly, as I said, read a lot of write-ups, read research papers, and be active on Twitter, because that will really inspire you. All right. So lastly, I want to conclude by saying that the mind is just like a muscle. So the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets and the more it can expand. So there is not a skill shortage as such. You just have to be in a constant cycle of learning, and that way you can be the crowd and fight against the crowd of unethical hackers. And initially, we did a poll, and 67% of you said that they think that cybersecurity has a skill shortage, right? So I hope from our presentation, you understand why we think that taking an alternative approach may result to that shortage not being there. So finally, COVID, hello, are you still with us? Okay, that was just a test to see how many of y'all are still listening. This is the end of our talk. And Pete Patel was the one who caught us the first time in Aarti's presentation. So we will be reaching out to you. Please write your email address in a DM to any of us and we will reach out to you. So thank you for coming to our presentation. This was a really good opportunity, and thank you. Have a great day ahead.
Well, we've got 1 minute left. Any questions from any of you? Don't see any questions. Thank you for all the amazing comments. And thank you for this opportunity for us to present. It has been fantastic as we prepared a few weeks ago, and it's been fun, right?
Yeah,
thanks, everyone.
This was so fun. Thank you, everyone, for your comments.